His crimes against children shocked the world.
He's someone who likes to hurt mentally, to hurt physically.
Once one of America's top Republicans, Lawrence King is serving a 15-year prison sentence for a multi-million-dollar fraud. But financial crime is only half the story. This is the true story of Lawrence King. It is the story of a cancer at the heart of America and of its continuing cover-up at the highest level.
His arrest sparked protests that brought his home country, Belgium, to the brink of revolution.
We were just informed that as from today you stop your investigation. And that was it.
His dark past fuels conspiracy theories to this day.
One man is attempting to uncover the full story. John DeCamp is among the most highly decorated Vietnam veterans. A former Republican state senator in Lincoln, Nebraska, he is now a lawyer fighting the legacy of Lawrence King's abuse of power.
There was a sense of total disbelief, a sense of revolt.
This is the shocking story of the monster of Belgium. Who was he? How was he able to kidnap, rape and murder young children right under the noses of the police in this modern European country? Was he protected? Or did he benefit from a catalogue of police mistakes?
I don't believe that there is one person in this country who knows the full story.
Paul Benassi provides him with the evidence that Larry King threw child sex parties here at his rented $5,000 a month Washington house.
Belgians begin to ask whether Marc Dutroux is being protected by powerful people within the state. While in custody, Dutroux himself fans the flames of conspiracy with a controversial claim which will forever change the global perception of this case. He states he is part of a national paedophile network whose tentacles stretch right to the top of Belgian society. Investigating judge Jean-Marc Connerot is put in charge of preparing the case against Dutroux. He is determined to get the truth.
We had uncovered a series of allegations from some minors, and it led me to a call boy operation.
It sure fits with, this boy Paul Benassi. And he tells a tale of being brought to the White House on occasion, kind of as a reward for the kid.
Over the next few months, a series of devastating revelations emerge about Dutroux's past and his relationship to the country's authorities. Belgians realize in horror that the police could have arrested him long ago, potentially saving the lives of 4 young girls.
King's partner was Washington lobbyist Craig Spence. Spence took youngsters, including Benassi, on private midnight tours of the White House.
So you were in the White House then? Yes.
And if Washington doesn't have enough to talk about these days, the Washington Times reported today that unidentified White House aides in the Carter, Reagan, and Bush administrations now are being investigated for using the services of a call boy ring. The paper reports that 2 of the male prostitutes were given a late-night tour of the White House last year.
Word about the president. For 7.5 years I've worked alongside him, and I'm proud to have been his partner. And we've had trials, we've made some mistakes, we've had some setbacks.
Then Regina Louf provides extensive details of the unsolved murder of 15-year-old Christina Van Hees, whose body was discovered in a disused farm on the outskirts of Brussels in 1984.
We found evidence in the old murder file about the autopsy of the corpse that corroborated her story.
Some of the parties, when they started off, were straight political type parties with no sex. And then when some of the men had left, some of the politicians had left, the ones that had planned on engaging in some type of sexual activity, that would come after the party. Some of the kids would be held downstairs in some of the rooms where if they acted up or if they started freaking out because of the drugs that they were on, they'd put them in a room that they couldn't get out of, and they'd lock them in.
The people who were going to these parties were big businessmen. There were also politicians.
Accompanying Mihoul at these parties, according to Regina, was Marc Dutroux. If this story is true, Coverups appears to have stumbled upon evidence that a paedophile network involving Dutroux, Mihoul, and powerful people in Belgian society does indeed exist.
Were any attempts ever made that you know of to expose this situation?
As far as I know, nothing's ever been done, and most of the people that were in there had already been, I guess you could say, compromised.
Continuing, you actually have the passages in your book out of the diary, and then.
Well, I have right here the diary. If you want me to read a little, okay? Now, understand that I didn't know that the thing was Bohemian Grove back then, nor did the kid when he was writing it. All he knew was he was taken to this place. Let me just read it. It'll take 3 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure how to say it. The man was about so many inches long, and the boy screamed and stuff, and the man was forcing his blank into the boy all the way. The boy was bleeding from his rectum, and the men tossed me and him and stuff and put the boy right next to me and grabbed the gun and blew the boy's head off. The boy's blood was all over me, and I started yelling and crying. The men grabbed Nicholas and I and forced us to lie down. They put the boy on top of Nicholas, who was crying, and they were putting Nicholas' hands on the boy's blank. They put the boy on top of me and did the same thing. They then forced me to blank the dead boy. It's pretty crude. They put a gun to our heads to make us do it. His blood was all over us. They made us kiss the boy's lips and anyway, do other things. Then they made me do something I don't even want to even write, so I won't. After that, the men grabbed Nicholas and drug him off, screaming. They put me up against a tree and put a gun to my head, but fired into the air. I heard another shot from somewhere, and then saw the man who killed the boy drag him like a toy. Everything, including when the men put the boy in a trunk, was filmed. The men took me with them, and we went up in a plane. I saw the bag the boy was in. We went over a very thick brush area with a clearing in it. Over the clearing, they dropped the boy. One said the men with the hoods would take care of the body for them.
What do you do for recreation now?
That's recreation. I work.
You ever hike up into the mountains?
Oh, yeah, I do that for, I like to kill.
And when you say kill, you're talking about what, neighbors? What,
We don't want to talk about shooting people, do we?
No, but you're teasing when you say you like to kill, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not teasing. I used to like to kill. When I realized that I was hunting in order to kill.
You like hunting?
Quit. Well, I did. I quit.
However, Judge Coverups' investigation into Regina Louf's claim of the existence of a powerful paedophile network is suddenly brought to a halt. In October 1996, he is sacked. His attendance at a dinner thrown by the families of Dutroux's victims is deemed a conflict of interest by his superiors in the Ministry of Justice. Rudy Hoskins and the team working with the ex-witnesses are summoned to the Justice Department.
We were just informed during that meeting that already, as from today, you stop your investigation. And that was it.
Obviously, the FBI was protecting something a lot more significant than a bunch of old pedophiles having improper relations with little boys. They were protecting something a lot more significant than a bunch of drug peddlers. They were protecting, in my opinion, they were protecting some very prominent politicians, some very powerful and wealthy individuals associated with those politicians and the political system, up to and including the highest political people in this entire country.
News about Regina's story began to leak out. When the media took it up, it was to destroy her.
X1 et ses fantasmes, une enquête au-delà du réel. Madame, Monsieur, bonsoir. L'affaire Dutroux s'est enrichie de...
The flagship program of the government-funded French-language channel was unequivocal. De Batz was guilty, they declared, and Regina Louf a sinister and deranged liar.
For John de Camp, the story of Larry King's corrupt empire holds a dire warning for all America.
If you can control about 3 or 4 key elements, you can totally own a state, you can make right wrong, you can make truth falsehood, falsehood truth. If you control the media, if you control the Justice Department, if you control the police, you own the system.
After 6 years in jail, there is still no date for his trial. When it comes, it'll satisfy no one.
The trial of Dutroux, it will be a theater, a circus. And I don't want to be part of a circus. The truth is that there is a network, and that they have to search for that network, so that you can save other children in the future.
In this country we will never get to the truth. There is just too much truth that needs to be exposed.